So welcome all of you. Can we have a very good round of applause to understand I have managed to bring you back in the hall or not. So we'll go by introduction, a very quick 60-second introduction so that people know who you are and what you are going to say. If they would have some questions, they will start framing it in your mind. So we'll start from you, sir.
Yeah, so my name is Shekhar and I'm from Thermax. Thermax basically does all kinds of boilers, power plants and equipment for industry. So I think the questions is 65% of India's energy comes from coal. So how are we going to handle that as we go forward, towards decarbonization and energy transition? That's our business. Thank you.
So सबसे बड़ा वाला पूछता है भारत आपसे energy.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Amar. I represent a company called Michelin. It's a French company that deals with tires. I'm going to talk about tire is not something which is black in shape. There's much more happening in the tire industry. So I represent a company called Michelin. It's a French company. We are mainly, our core product is tires, but we are also in many other beyond and around tire business activities. I'm going to talk about, more about tires, green tires, because when the tire comes in our mind, it's not only about the, black in color, round in shape. It is much more beyond that. So, looking forward to have a much more about the green energy, the net zero, and many more things during the conversation. Thank you.
So if you can relate the black color tire and black color road, and if you can recall the fume that it gives, and if you relate this with pollution or with carbonization, then you have a very, very valuable person on the dais. I'm thankful to ET for, I think there is a screening has happened and handpicked of people has been brought here. Very related. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I am Navid Taleb and I represent Hero E-Cycles. I am into the business of sustainability where we produce products which will bring sustainability to the earth, and I am also into the business of increasing awareness about fitness, so it will help reduce number of rounds to the doctors for all of you.
So among us, if we see the first step of transition, and if you look at those countries who have done good transition into decarbonization, cycling is the first step. From where you suddenly reduce to a complex fashion of having a car, lot of people, lot of energy and fuel involved, to simply having a cycle. It takes, I'll tell you, it takes a lot of power to leave your BMW, Mercedes and take that call that aaj se main office cycle se jaunga. It's psychologically you have to win that race inside you. Welcome to have you. I'm glad that I'm sharing stage with you.
Yeah, as we always say, you just need to take that first pedal to go around the world. So that's what we do.
Warm welcome to Shekhar.
Well, I think it's about time to talk about homes. Since we have cycled, often we will cycle somewhere to perhaps a home or an office. I'm from Luminous Power Technologies. My name is Preeti Bajaj. And we live in the service of making sure India's consumers, home consumers and small commercial offices can be viable, energy independent, and be electrified at all times, either by having power backup so that their homes are running for the critical functions that they have to do, or by providing solar energy to those small commercial buildings, to those industrial units, so that they can be more economical, more viable, more sustainable. We live in the service of Vasudev Kutum, one family, one planet, one earth.
Welcome, Preeti. This is another sector where we have some footprint. We have spoken about smart metering, we have spoken about energy efficiency, and we have started educating our next generation. Particularly, my son is very furious about if I leave something open in-house. इस washroom में गए, आपने ये light जला दी, वहाँ की आपने cabinet की light खुली छोड़ दी. This is what is being told into our school. This is how he refer. So, as in consciousness of society, this has started. I'm not sure Preeti will be going forward in the session, will be able to give us exact definition that are we doing enough or are we doing too little and too late? So that yet to come. But welcome all of you. Let me bring the context in the on the hall to understand we as a country in India, where we speak about our wisdom from ancient knowledge and ancient lifestyle, our process and our culture of doing business and living together with environment, with energy, with nature is unparalleled. It cannot be compared with any Western country. So if I drive the conclusion right, that India is the country who can teach the world how to live life with sustainability, decarbonization and nature. And we are best at it. Recently when our Prime Minister launched the program called Lifestyle for Environment, it creates a competition, maybe to a certain extent some brands are only for the customized branding from outside, some are decarbonizing from inside. This message which our Prime Minister has given, that we have to lead the world to tell them how you live with the nature, with the sustainability and life. How do you all decode this message into your respective sectors? So that we'll start with you.
I mean, it's like you very rightly say, I think India is one of those places where we have done reuse, recycle, reinvent, perhaps more than any other developed economy in the world. And when I think about that, you know, sustainability is about economical utility to my mind. And when we think about Luminous, whether as an organization or whether as products that we actually make, we think about it in two parameters. What difference will it make to my life on an ongoing basis if I can power my home with solar energy? Well, today already we are at a point with solar solutions, which is solar panels, inverters, and storage, that you can actually create your own electricity at 3 to 4 rupees a unit. Now for rural homes, which are in fact perhaps away from grid electricity, in off-grid sense, this is a real viable alternative. And it is not powered by fossil fuels essentially. The other thing it does is, for the country at large, it reduces the fossil fuel dependence. I am not saying that we are going to go completely zero on fossil fuels immediately. It's a transition. We've got to be pragmatic and realistic about it. But that's the way we decode it. We also decode it as a connected system in which we are able to give perhaps to the aspirational consumer more information about how they are using their appliances. Are they using their air conditioning? Now, if we imagine an India where there was time of use tariff, is the audience familiar with the concept of time of use tariff? चलो ऐसे बता देते हैं कि जैसे ऊबर का सर्ज प्राइस होता है कि जब बहुत ज़्यादा डिमांड होती है तो रेट बढ़ जाता है, वैसे ही काफ़ी मार्केट्स में वर्ल्ड में इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का भी सर्ज प्राइस होता है. आज हमारे देश में नहीं है, पर अगर आ गया तो क्या आप अपना एसी तब चलाना चाहेंगे जब पीक रेट हाई है, या अपनी सोलर एनर्जी यूज़ करना चाहेंगे? तो जब हम एस्पिरेशनल इंडिया की बात करते हैं, when we talk about digitization, this is not some far away concept. Today in itself, Luminous, we build connected inverters which can actually connect to your system, and through an app can actually tell you about how much solar are you generating. And another context of that could be that हम आपको बता सकते हैं कि आप कितनी एनर्जी यूज़ कर रहे हैं एसी के लिए और वो आपको कितनी कॉस्ट कर रही है. And you can then be empowered consumers and make your own choices about whether you want to switch on the AC or not at that time.
प्रीति जी पूछता है भारत कि ये बहुत स्कैरी साउंड कर रहा है. One side it's interesting that we'll be able to get to see, and other side before I put on my AC I will have to think about tariff. It is sounding very interesting, but do you think this kind of regulation would coming up in India? What time?
इसके ऊपर बात तो बहुत हुई है, because it all comes down to how we want to run our energy markets. That is perhaps a whole different issue altogether. मैं ये नहीं कह रही कि ये होगा, मैं ये कह रही हूँ कि आज टेक्नोलॉजी तैयार है कि आपको वो उसमें हेल्प कर सकती है. अगर नहीं भी होगा तो आपको पता रहेगा कि एयर कंडीशनिंग में खर्चा कितना हो रहा है, और आपका ऑटोमेटिक सिस्टम आपको बता देगा कि आपका इतना खर्चा हो रहा है, सोच लो और चलाना है कि नहीं. टाइम ऑफ यूज टैरिफ की चिंता मत करिए, सीधा 8 रुपए पे बात करते हैं.
Interesting.
सीधा 8 रुपए पे बात करते हैं. The last piece I would say is the inside decoding. as a company, as an organization, what do you want to do when you think about decarbonization? So we try to live it in Luminous. In fact, it's not something, it's a purposeful journey. It's not an easy one for organizations to commit to. We run 6 factories. We are making 2 more factories. One for solar panel modules and another one for battery
this
energy.
I can say for the next round of comeback. We will talk about manufacturing and then we'll pull you back.
Okay.
Coming to you. Your decode of our Prime Minister's vision, where India will be able to give a lifestyle to people, to the world or not. And how do we prepare ourselves as an industry for this?
See, when we talk about my industry, where I come from, so I just graduated to the bicycle industry. I was in automotive industry. So I was making cars, I was making 3-wheelers, and now I have graduated to making bicycles. So in this industry, it is, most of us know that it is, one of the best forms of sustainable mobility, one of the best forms of affordable mobility. But then it is also a lifestyle that we need to look at when we talk about bicycles, because we had forgotten the bicycles for quite some time before COVID came in, when we were confined to our homes, and when the travel or tourism got banned, most of the people then went back and thought about fitness, and that's how the entire scenario for the bicycle industry changed all across the world. It's not only India, all across the world. And in India, suddenly, I think my voice was good enough, but okay. So this bicycle industry, we started with during these COVID times. We saw what was happening across the world, how people were changing their preferences, and that's how Pedalecs came into existence. Pedalecs is basically electric assisted bicycles, and most of the developed countries across Europe, they started to get into the electric bicycles. And
so that's my question. We will teach or we will be taught?
We will teach. We will teach, because I am coming to that point, that till that time, till the COVID thing happened, most of the people, most of the countries were getting these bicycles from China. And that shifted when the geopolitical scenario changed. The preferences shifted from there to India, and the challenge that India had is to have the supplier ecosystem to be able to cater to that need, and also to cater to the cost competitiveness that they were offering. So that's how it shifted, and that's how in India also we started producing these bicycles, and now it is being exported all across the world, and we are neck to neck when it comes to cost competitiveness with China, and soon we'll overtake them also.
So when it comes to adoption, if I may see wrong, you can correct me. One of my friend, he was there yesterday in Oxford. He said, he called me up that, okay, we had a great discussion. I asked somebody, wanted to meet him. He said, boss, यहाँ तो campus में सब cycle चला रहे. The number of people who are using bicycle, I'm throwing 2 questions on you, and these both are very, very important. Then I'll go to next speaker. Is number of people who are driving bicycle in India in well-off income group, and number of people who have turned out to be cycle users in West and in other countries. We are on the right pace and share, or we are still bit back. Second, the manufacturing sector, which has to provide that kind of bicycle. When you are saying pedal assisted, electric assisted, are we comparing to China or to any other neighboring country or any other Western countries? Are we in position to deliver and cater such a huge population if they start turning out to be cycle users?
Let me get you some figures on that now. We produce about 6 million bicycles a year. Okay. And already we have got about 130 million plus bicycles on the road, which in India, I'm just talking about India, I'm not talking about any exports that we have done. And when it comes to, like you said, you gave the example of Oxford, I'll give you an example of VIT. Okay, in VIT we set up a booth, and in that campus we are giving these bicycles to the students to experience what kind of this electric bicycle gives you, what kind of comfort, and why you should move to electric bicycles.
So adoption, you are saying, is good here in India?
Adoption is very, very good, and I think the world needs to learn from us how affordable bicycles we can make, and at what cost it is possible to make in India, rather than comparing with anybody else. Rather than we comparing with anybody else, it's now time that they come and benchmark us on affordability part.
True. So let's have a quick hand up. How many of you are using cycle? Good number. Brilliant. Clap for all of them.
So I have got prospective customers in that case.
Going next to you, Amar, we wish to, actually very excited to hear about both the road and the rubber.
Sure. So basically, before I talk about that, we have seen that there's a lot of India has submitted its INDC, intended nationally determined contribution, in 2015, which was quite comprehensive, and it was further strengthened last year in Glasgow, where our Honorable Prime Minister came out with Panchamrit, which was talking about net zero by 2070 and many other things, 500 gigawatt of renewable energy deployment, or 50% of energy is coming from non-fossil fuel sources. So I think these are very encouraging kind of targets or ambitions, and it has actually given us a lot of thoughts to align in that direction. At Michelin, we have the bigger purpose, and that is that give a better way forward to everyone. We have an all sustainable approach, which is very well gelled with the strategy, which is the equally distributed between people, profit, and planet. So now I'll come to the product part. Before that, I would like to ask you one question in the audience, that what do you see when you go to buy a shoe? Comfort, yes, of course. Anything else? Price, okay, yes, that's very Indian, I would say, right? Definitely. Next. Style, yes. Durability, usability. Somebody said brand. Grip, okay. Well, so my next question to all of you, which is the following question: that what do you see when you go to buy the tires for your car? How do you see that? How do you check that? Everything is round and black in color. Brand, of course. How do you see that when the tire is there in front of you?
We usually go for safety. Tire is very related to safety.
Absolutely. Safety. Anything else? Word of mouth? Okay, fine. So I'll tell you, I'll give you some technique today in this session.
Now,
what do you see?
To add something, you're also buying tire for cycle, right?
I am buying tires for cycles, so normally before that I used to buy tires for cars. So
please tell us.
So it's basically three factors that decide what kind of tire that we want to have. It's the ride, comfort, and handling. So these are the three things that define what tire that you need to select and use.
Over to you. Please complete your point.
So basically, there is a lot of technology goes behind the tire, and now, radial tire or radialization that we keep hearing in India. Michelin has invented radial tire way back in 1946. And after that, the tubeless tire and the acoustic tires, and now the airless tire has come, the tires which don't require air. So there are a lot of, the things are happening. Now the green tires are coming. I'm happy to tell you on this platform that Michelin is the first company who is actually introducing the tires which are made of 58% sustainable material for truck and bus, the application, and 45% sustainable material for tire application. I mean the passenger car tire. So I think there's a lot many things going on, keeping this INDC in mind or net zero factor in mind. The company has set the internal target to set the net zero by 2050. And a lot of activities we are doing in the product innovation, in our manufacturing innovation, which is meeting the requirement of climate change, sustainability, and ESG.
So I'll quickly, nobody will accuse me for going to Shekhar bit early. You have spoken very less. I'll give you again, come back to you and give you more time. But Shekhar, we wish to know a lot of work happening in your sector. And these all are very challenging. One, it is capital intensive. Second, it attracts a lot of regulatory affairs and approvals. Third, it also have to woo their financiers, their investors. How do you deal with all this when you have to introduce a decarbonized way of doing manufacturing?
Yeah, so I would say first thing is energy is costly in India because we import almost all our oil and gas requirement, and that is helping us to energy transition better when to renewables. So the fact that reduce, reuse and recycle is absolutely mastered by Indian industry. Therefore, today we have the most efficient oil refining asset in India, most efficient, and by far efficiency gap is more than 20% any world. So reduce, reuse of energy. And companies like us who are in energy domain, creating products for reduce, reuse, that's where we come in. And I think government policy, which is working great and pragmatic, is to shift from coal to biomass, coal to waste. So waste to energy is a great sector coming up. Already most of, cement industry, if you see, 10 years back, cement plant used to have either grid as a source of energy or self-generation. Now cement recycles heat, 40% energy is generated within that, and the kilns are also fired with waste, which is going from sometimes cities, whenever the plant is near to the city, or it is transported in form of a better pelletized form. So reduce, reuse, and recycle is what is practiced by Indian industry.
We are very blessed to have Sir with us. Welcome, sir. With your permission, we will continue. Thank you, sir. Thank you. A big round of applause for Rane, sir. Please
so another thing is, the biomass. Earlier, biomass coal price was low, 4 rupees a kg, and therefore biomass was costlier, 6 rupees, 7 rupees a kg. I think thankfully, again, we should thank, the geopolitical situation where last 6 months back, the coal went to 12 to 14 rupees a kg. And suddenly biomass has caught in. So now every farmer is able to sell the leftover of crop. Let it be rice husk, let it be mustard stalk, cotton stalk, groundnut shell, anything, between 2 to 3 rupees a kg, which has got an additional income. And companies like us are able to modify our equipments to suit this biomass in place of the coal. So I would say energy transition is taken very strongly by user industry. Let it be even hard to abate sector like cement, steel, which have their own challenges because they need 1000 degrees Celsius heat, right? And they are doing their own way of using maximum recyclable heat. But
Shekhar,
I would say
I have also heard that your company is into ethanol and hydrogen and other things.
Yes.
The green fuel cell also. When we look at it, I think everyone is talking about it. I have heard our Honorable Minister of Road Transport and Highways saying about ethanol, then flux engine, and then how you can drive on hydrogen. I myself had one of the very promising pilot into Delhi, Jaipur, and Delhi, Agra, which is having capability to vend pressed and hydrogen, the liquid hydrogen. When it comes to financing and getting regulation for these emerging technologies, where do you see that this industry or this particular technology, green fuel and hydrogen, has a lot of load of transition, which I can feel. Where do you feel your obstacle, and if you can share it with everyone?
Yeah, so I think, one is that we must understand hydrogen is beneficial, but currently the cost is almost 4 to 5 times, if we have to generate hydrogen from green electricity. So I think what India is doing is that rather than following some of the countries in West, we are looking at our own ways. So our own way for us to cut our fossil demand is EV and battery as well as efficient lighting. So all of this is actually helping us to reduce our energy demand, that's number one. Shift the vehicular energy demand to EV, that is electricity, which is coming from solar photovoltaic. Shift the industrial demand, because if you need 1000 degrees Celsius steam, you can't much produce it by any other way than, combustion, which remains to be a little better or cheaper way. So that to biomass.
What I asked you in the last session, the same question will continue with you also, because both of you have competence to deliver. Sir, I want your very quick 60-second, and then we'll move to Preeti ji. When we talk about lifestyle, what we've spoken in the last round of discussion, and we are saying, we as a country who has a lot of 6,000-year wisdom to live with nature, but when it comes to carbon credit or a assessment or a technology which is telling you how sustainable, energy efficient you are, most of them, they are coming from west to east. So are we lacking somewhere in the innovation, is my next puchta hai Bharat to you.
Yeah, so I think, and I will talk about industry rather than individual, because in individual, I think really we are ahead. Most of us know how to stay without an air conditioner. I think that's the greatest, delta between per capita electricity consumption in US to India. The biggest delta is air conditioning, the air conditioning less that we use. But on industry side, I would say, and I think somewhere I go back to the first session, today's manufacturing session, where India started with, imported technologies for manufacturing, because we did not have. And the need for we to create technology is, it cannot be stressed further. And therefore, but I want to put a point that whatever technologies India imported, I think we have done really well to make them more energy efficient. And I'm talking about steel, cement, chemical sectors, where already we are at the best level into efficiencies of using energy.
Interesting. I used to think that in standards, when it comes to validation, recognition, and indices, particularly the ranking, we look most towards the West. But you're saying we are quite at par and in a good shape.
Because if you see Bureau of Energy Efficiency, not many countries in the world have that. If you want to use a cement plant, this should be your energy consumption per ton of cement. Okay. India has it. And so many other industries. So I would say higher energy cost has made India very conscious about using energy. And also it has got economics, because today when oil is at $80, it does make sense to use less energy, become more energy efficient, and thereby reduce your cost of production.
So let me add Preeti here into this. All these jargons which we hear, carbon credit or green building or this is standard, that is standard, usually these standards come from West. Are we still waiting for that kind of validation, or we are developing our own standards, we are making our own industry more decarbonized and robust?
I think, can you hear me? Is this working?
You can use the round one. Yeah. It's working.
I kind of have two perspectives on this. India definitely is a shining light when we come into adopting frugal innovation. We do necessity is the mother of invention incredibly well, and I don't think that the West actually, perhaps, if I really leap into faith, has much to teach us when it comes to that. order to make affordable products, I think, which actually can be adopted by masses, that is something Indian manufacturing and Indian product design has mastered the art of at scale. Purely because, as the minister said, the price elasticity is low given the per capita income is super low. So then to make affordable solar panel, affordable storage, affordable e-cycle is a necessity, and that we do well. I think where our aspiration perhaps can be as we progress is in design innovation. Design can actually deliver value. So that is something perhaps we could look to. That is not necessarily then saying that you should adopt the building standard of a building in California because the weather is different, the temperature is different, the building materials is different. I think we have this great opportunity because we are coming to this cycle as the 5th largest economy in 2023. Many have gone before us and made their choices, and there is a resultant outcome based on that. I think we have 3 opportunities. Number 1, innovate with supply chains that are closer to country, closer to your market. So we should build standards for our environment, our temperature, our energy efficiency. We can lean into those that actually make sense for us. I think secondly, when we make those standards, we should link them to creating products for those standards into this country and incentivize them. And thirdly, we should take the MSME or the industrial manufacturing plants and give them reasonable incentives to then adopt those standards to propel them into practice, and that is how you actually do innovation deployment. So I think our challenge is in that area, but the opportunity remains as well.
So with this, we are entering into the next round of discussion. Key innovation, you said, design, you said, and then you said there are certain adaptability which India, and it is made for India, it is not made for any other country. But to do this, where is money? In sabko karne ke liye paisa kahan hai? It all require an intensive capital and a skill and then more manpower. Even I'm very glad to see Amar's designation is Public Affairs, Sustainability and ESG. So it means he is having a vertical across his team to look at it. It requires operational and capex, both of them. So start from you, then we'll move ahead.
Where is the money? That's the million-dollar question. So look, I think this is a collaboration of industry, attitude, and incentives from the government as well. If you look at the economies of the West who have progressed so fast sometimes, it was not an isolated effort of the industry. Private sector alone cannot do this. Industrial manufacturing units alone cannot do this. If we want to achieve net zero, we can be bold and we can give incentives around being net zero or being completely clean factories or green energy factories to those who are actually making that effort and create that momentum. I'll give you 2 examples of this that has happened in the world. Everybody talks about, for example, California and how much storage they have adopted, how much solar they have adopted. Aap logon ne suna hi hoga. Everybody talks about Australia as well. The reality is in California, if you put residential rooftop solar, you got an income tax credit against your personal income. So to change your lifestyle and to adopt new technology, you were incentivized at your tax level. We have to make some bold moves.
So with this, since I think everyone whom I'm seeing are interested to know this answer, that all of them, they belong to different sectors of manufacturing, and they all have this clarity in their mind that today, tomorrow, in few years, they have to decarbonize their operations and their product and their industry, their plants, the machinery. But to achieve this, we'll be needing some sort of couple of examples you given from this. You have been a pioneer into giving people cycle, and is there any, I was very happy to hear that Delhi has brought a cycle subsidy policy few months back. But at the same time, I was disheartened also that Delhi being a capital, why they did not announce carbon credit? Because it could have been very easy to go and give a DVT to somebody who is traveling on cycle. It was a subsidy, still it becomes complex when it is only focused on OEM rather than focused on the users. So what is your take on this?
See, it's a very welcome step from the Delhi government, which was there to announce subsidy on electric bicycles. But then, that was only to, as a first step to promote the cycling, the culture of cycling, the culture of fitness, and also a move towards a greener Delhi. I think as a next step, the carbon credits that you are talking about, I think it's on its way, and it should come soon, because there are several discussions which are already on with the government. So it is going to come step by step. I don't think we should expect government to give everything at one go. It will take time, and as the adoption of various technologies happen, various incentives would follow.
So, Amar, in your sector, is there anything, if somebody adopts to a tire or a product which is more sustainable than other in the market, is there any incentive from your side or from the government side, or any sort of encouragement is available?
It's a good question because, in tire industry also a lot of changes are happening, a lot of regulations are coming up. I ask you one question that, what do you see when you go to buy a tires? So basically from 1st of January onward, 1st of January 2024 onward, you need to see the star labeling in the tires. So the way we make a purchase for refrigerator or air conditioning, we see the star label from Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Ministry of Power. The same concept is coming for the tires also. Now this is actually, the rating starts from 1 star to 5 star. The 5-star tire will definitely give you around 15 to 20% better fuel mileage compared to the 1-star tire. And that is where the decision will be in the hand of the consumer to make an informed choice or a decision upfront, and it will no longer be dependent on somebody who can influence your purchase decision. So that is one thing which is coming from government. Second thing is government is also trying to put more focus on quality by bringing some regulation called AIS 142 stage 2. So when I say what do you look into the tire, so AIS standard actually is bringing 3 points. One is rolling resistance. So if the tire has low rolling resistance, it will give you a better mileage. Second thing is wet grip, how the tire is performing on the wet surface. And third thing is very important, especially when the EV is coming. So when the electric vehicle is running on the road, the most amount of noise is going to come out from the tire. So government is well aware of that fact, and they have included this particular aspect into AS 142 stage 2. So you have to also control the noise which is coming out of the tire.
So next time when an EV is going to come close to you, now even tire is not going to make any sound. So it will just pass.
Just pass.
Great. Sir,
and just a third point,
yeah.
that the government is also, what do you do after the useful life of the tire is over? So let's say, you have completed certain, let's say 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 kilometer in the tire, and what do you do after that? So government has come out with the, the regulation for that also, for that they are going to provide the incentive. So, right now the entire, that sector, maybe the collection of the tire, or the trading of a tire, or converting that into the oil, and
that was going to be my next round of question.
Okay.
I will come back to you.
Sure.
We'll ask about reuse and the culture of throwaway culture.
Sure.
Before that, just the finance one you have to close.
Yeah, so I think if industry wants to shift to renewable or green, options like, suppose somebody has a chemical plant with a 2 megawatt electricity and a 10 ton of steam requirement, for which currently grid electricity and coal-fired boiler is there. Electricity is easier. We don't need any subsidy, but some kind of facilitation from government. Today, if you see my manufacturing plant rooftop can produce about 3 megawatt of electricity, but I'm allowed to produce only 1 megawatt because we are not about to cross the grid. The grid has its own challenge of paying customer, non-paying customer, rural customer, agricultural, all of that. But we need to find that solution. So I would say number one, no subsidy required. It is the technical facilitation of how do you load manage between solar PV, which comes in at 8 o'clock in the morning, but just goes off when India is getting into the evening peak, and we talked about time of day storage, etc.
Right.
So this is not scary, it's a reality. I just want to, can I comment?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can use this one, right one.
Right one.
Yeah, this is working.
So what you're talking about, actually, I just want to make sure we
Keep
also
this, yes.
realize the load management or peak shifting technologies are also ready. They are here. There is already enough connected technology available by which we can look at what substation is supplying, how much demand is coming from there, and can we send messages to consumers on the other side of the grid to say, would you like to please switch off your air conditioners, and you'll get paid for that possible inconvenience. Those technologies already exist. The framework of this load management is in the energy markets architecture.
Correct. So framework is something that needs to be. Whoever is using oil or gas, I think there is instant solution available of biomass. So, companies like ours are working with 600 plus farmer produce organizations, where the agricultural waste biomass is converted into pellets, small pellets, and that is used as fuel. The largest coffee company in the world has already shifted all their plants on biomass, and that is at cheaper. So if you were consuming furnace oil at X rupees, this will be lower than that. So decarbonization for industry, from energy point of view, is a step by step. I am sure we are going to achieve the net zero goals with technologies falling in place. I don't think we need great subsidies.
This one is very important, and it has such a great value, the energy part, where we are not, as of now, completely on the green or renewable or something which is not harming environment, and it requires a complete session. That's why I'm stopping you here. But with this, I think we have done 2 good rounds of understanding India as a preacher, or to be teaching or to be taught, and then the financing. Anything you wish to add?
Yeah, I just have one small point, is that
In
government
the
has
energy.
also come out with the RTC model, which is round the clock power. So, in the daytime, you can use the power from solar. In the evening time, you can use, evening and the night time, you can use the power coming from wind.
I told you, whole day you can do debate on it, and a lot of thing will come out, which is very important for us. One last round of talk which we have to conclude. We had shown you the fight is within us to adopt green, decarbonize. Now we are going to throw that fight to you, and in this round we are going to talk about the behavior of people. When you talk about throw away culture, when you talk about wastage, when you talk about something which is of no use, but still it is next to you, this throw away culture does not come from machine, does not come from animals, it comes from people. People who have to understand the basics of using a material and then not loading the entire ecosystem and environment with lot of wastages. For an example, मुझे बचपन से मैंने देखा कि हमारे घर में वो थैली हुआ करती थी जिसमें हम सब्जी लाने जाया करते थे. That one packet, one jute bag used to be stay with us for 6 months at least. Can you imagine the number of jute bags which we are throwing every day? I'm not using the right word jute bag, because a lot of plastic also we are throwing on the daily basis. So we were happy with that bag. Okay, this is थोड़ा सा मैला कुचैला थोड़ा धूमिल हो गया, चलेगा, उसमें ही में सब्जी लेने जाएंगे. This is the lifestyle. So on the lifestyle side, we will give you 1 minute or maybe 1.5 minutes to all of you to speak how they can take away from this session on decarbonization of manufacturing, and then we will save some time for them also to have 1 or 2 questions. So we'll start with you, because you have a brilliant exposure in this sector. What one as a lifestyle should adopt to save and decarbonize?
The choice is right here to power your homes with solar technology. Once you have solar, actually you get more energy conscious by nature of behavior anyways. Solar has this powerful effect on consumers. You get interested in how you're living. I have a saying, solar energy consumption of your house, when you are able to see it, tells you about the way you live, because energy is life. Once you know how you live, you can make a choice, good choice, about how you want to live. You can choose to lower the air conditioning usage in times. You can choose to all sit in one room in your lounge room and have only one television and enjoy it. It's the same program, hopefully. You can choose to run multiple devices and yet interact with each other without actually causing more pressure on the grid. So what I would say is think about it. It's a choice though, and consumers have the power to make choice. Industrial manufacturers only have the choice to make technology. So we are not successful without you.
Yeah, so I would, again, I will put an industrial perspective here that, use and throw you mentioned. But recently we did a project for a company which is quite large company. They took out assets which were 15-year-old, a 200 megawatt gas turbine and a boiler, and relocated to Gujarat and did it at 30% of the cost, and a great footprint saving, because all that steel will have to be made again if, that same power plant has to do. And they did it with so less money in spite of having 15,000 crore per quarter profit. So I think it's about ideas, it's about having technologies which are there but to implement them. And I think, the reuse and recycle portion, industry is quite, I'm really happy and, forthcoming that for our energy sector, Indian customers are on par with any customer.
You think that they are doing their fight properly?
The Indian industry is doing well
Big
on
round of
energy
applause
management.
for this. It's from the energy side and from the conversion side, the ideas and the innovation which we are bringing is in the line of this transition towards decarbonization.
Absolutely.
Over to you, next.
So I'll just give you three live examples of what we are following in our factory. They are in the area of water, energy, and air. So for for all the application of water within our factory for making our product, we use only 30% water from the state government. 70% of the water we use, we have harvested out of the rain. So we have a huge reservoir inside the factory, and we use water from that throughout the year. So that was one, and we are a zero discharge, liquid discharge company. So that means we don't, discharge any water effluent inside, in the state government. Second is on the energy. So as my fellow panelists rightly mentioned that, switching to renewable energy. So we have switched to renewable energy to around 20% or so. All our lights have been converted by LEDs. Imagine we have 125 factories worldwide, and we have done this horizontally, so that how much energy efficiency you can draw out of it. Small initiatives like the sensor-based things we have adopted, so that when there is nobody in the lunchtime, all lights will be automatically off, and so on and so forth. And third is, which is very important on air front. So we have actually put a saplings, around 9,000 saplings inside the factory in the area of 3,000 square meter. And it was done during 2019. And today, if you see, these saplings have been converted into, the 15, 20 feet, tall trees. And the air in that zone is so rejuvenating, so refreshing. And, we have called it as a herbal garden. So we actually, whatever, food is getting served inside the factory, in the canteen, we actually harvest the food from that particular, garden itself. So this is how small things that we do to make the difference.
Thing. I never thought of it that a tire company, which is creating something jet black, is a zero liquid discharge industry. Not
No.
entire industry, but a couple of them. Michelin especially.
Yes, yes.
Big round of applause for this. I did not knew it's creating something black and does not have a liquid discharge. You're not mixing anything in the river.
No, nothing. Zero.
Wonderful. I have kept you purposefully saved because you are going to give them target. I know. I already know that you are going to ask a lot of people to buy cycle. So over to you.
No, I would just like to, say that it's all about mindset. So we need to change our mindset. That's first and foremost, and we need to learn to unlearn. That is the key in order to adapt to new techniques or new technologies which are there across the world. And the most important thing that we need to learn to unlearn is our habits of getting all the things that I want this first. Like whatever watch is coming, I want this first. You may have 10 watches, but you want one more. You may have 5 cars, you want a 6th car. So you need to, understand what are your own requirements, and based on those requirements, you of course you can, afford anything. But then what is it that you need to really go out for, or you need to look out for, that will go a long way in making this earth sustainable.
That's the core message from where we started our first discussion, that India is actually going to tell people how to search happiness. It's not into 1 car, 2 car, 5 car or 8 watches. It is into what you need. And this message is very inherent in our wisdom, in our old books, in our literature, in our lifestyle, Ayurveda, yoga, wherever, Charak, whatever you read, it gives you a message that live in what is required. Do not overspend, do not get over enthusiastic to gather materialistic lifestyle. And here, when we are concluding on this, it is very important for all of us to take certain level of pledge at our own level. All of you will not be able to do changes around you. Someone will not go home and say, okay, kal se mera ghar solar power. It does not work like that. But what you are individually choosing in material, in lifestyle, is still within you. The decisions are within you. And when you are taking couple of decisions, actually you are reducing tons and tons of waste somewhere in some industry, for which somebody else has had to come and give a solution to that. So with this, if organizer allow couple of questions, are we okay to take? Is there anybody I can see? We can take 1-2 questions. 1 question only is allowed, and I have a lot of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. So all 5 of you can ask question together. Please go ahead. Somebody please provide them a microphone. The name of the hall is Jai Bhim.
Jai Bhim.
Jai.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think a wonderful session. So I'm in a situation today where Mr. Talib used to be my boss at one phase of my life, and he used to bombard me with lots of questions.
In the interest of time, question first.
So my question to Talib today. So just before this session, one of the statistics that you gave was today the annual sale of the product is close to around 6 million.
Annual sale, you'll have to hold mic so that I can
Annual
hear you.
sale is around 6 million. Now if I see the sale of automobile, it's close to around 3 million per annum. Now, even though the bicycles, they are more healthy, as you told, and it is less cheaper also, why is it that the sale of this product is not going up, rather than the sale of automobile is going more and more up? So what it is required to be done so that people can be thrown towards this product and they enjoy both health at the same time?
Very, very well taken question. Not now. We'll take 2, 3 quickly. We'll take in one go and
Thank
then
you.
we'll answer together. Quickly, 2 people if they can, in the same row, who have raised their hands.
Yeah, good evening everybody. Same Rajesh, like Talib San was like my boss also. He was senior to us in Honda. So we are questioning him
So
today.
boss is on target, I believe, today. Okay.
Now
good.
scenario is different. So my point is that like we are going towards sustainable. I am in sustainable industry now. We are making wind turbines. I am from inox wind turbines. So this industry is growing like renewable wind industry, wind power, solar power, all that. But sometimes I think like we are making a lot of equipments, but the kind of environment we are damaging, like making solar panels and then dispose of those chemical panels, chemicals. So that, what do you think about? That is going to be challenge. Like in wind mills also, we are making blades which is the composites.
You are pulling out Arnav out of me. You come to question, you'll have
So,
to take 2,
so I
3
mean to say how to protect the environment from such new technologies coming. That's the point of worry. That's a question from me.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's all. We'll, in the interest of time, we will be able to take quickly one quick answer since you are on target. So you will only be allowed to speak. Take your microphone. 2 people who have served under you are now taking their revenge.
फ्रेंड्स मेरा बड़ा सिंपल क्वेश्चन है. मैंने आप सबकी बात सुनी है और अभी तक हम जितनी भी बात कर रहे हैं वो एफिशिएंसी को बढ़ाने की बात कर रहे हैं, न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी को डेवलप करने की बात नहीं कर रहे. सिंपल माई क्वेश्चन है और आंसर भी मुझे चाहिए आप लोगों से. मेरे पास हर एनर्जी सेक्टर के अंदर उसका सोल्यूशन है, प्रोड्यूस एनर्जी, रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन, कोल को पावर प्लांट से हटा सकता हूँ. एंड एटलीस्ट मैं आई एम ट्राइंग जस्ट एक हाफ सेकेंड, मैं आई एम ट्राइंग फ्रॉम लास्ट 10 years in
Sir,
every
the
country.
question is you
How
want to
I
change.
get platform?
How to?
How I get platform?
Just give me 1 minute. I'll answer you.
Yes.
You are allowed only because you taken your question in Hindi. But please sit down. We'll definitely answer you.
Yes.
Over to you. I'll answer your question.
Okay, so first I'll answer to.
But you have to answer within 60-70 seconds. Very
Yeah,
quickly.
Within one word I can answer.
Very well.
Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, Rajesh asked, why bicycle sales is not going up, but cars and other sales is going up. So I answered that question when I say, what is the takeaway from this session? You have to change the mindset. You have to change the mindset, and you have to really look at bicycle also as your status symbol. That is what is the issue.
Very good. Very well taken answer. So with this, we have reached to the end. The gentleman who have asked the very wonderful question in Hindi that you have some technology which can reduce carbon footprint, consumption, and a lot of things in all sectors.
Yes.
Let me answer you. In the beginning, when we were introducing, I did not introduce myself to you. My work is to work with you. Whatever you are bringing, if it works on the regulation side, if it works on the standard side, certification side, then if it goes well with the commercial equivalence, we conduct pilot projects which you have seen with Government of India, ease of doing business work for the new technology. So I'm heading ease of doing business as a program director. My work is to conduct pilot for you and then put that commercial equivalence in front of nation, in front of various sectors to bring that which has not happened. So let's take this offline off the dais, and thank you everyone. Thank you so much, our wonderful panelists.